And I'm just checking. I pushed this recording button, but do you have a way of your recording for the center? I didn't know really how to do the recording.
Would you like us to record it?
Yeah.
Okay. I think the recording is on, so we should be good to go.
Okay, it goes to the cloud or something. Will you be able to grab it from there?
Yeah, it goes to Zoom, and then we go to Zoom and pull it from there. We typically
Great.
don't work, but we'll certainly do that.
Okay. So just welcoming everyone, and we just set a motivation. But again, I just want to go back into the meditation for a moment. So when issues come up for us during this challenging time right now, when issues come up, some people feel guilty that they're doing well, but many people around them are not doing well. We certainly know in Philadelphia, many people are struggling right now, trying to get food, not having enough money to live on, to pay rent, on, to support their families. So some basic loving kindness can be really helpful as a coping mechanism. Basic loving kindness meditation. But first, we also have to practice some self-compassion. So we want to help others. We want to consider them. We also need to make sure we are coming from a good place and are taken care of. It's the issue on the airplane. Put the mask on yourself should there be an emergency before you secure someone else's mask. Otherwise, you will run out of oxygen. How do we give ourselves the basic spiritual oxygen that we would like to have? As you inhale, imagine now sending these wishes to yourself, sending these wishes to yourself. First one, just feeling, may I be safe and healthy. Allow yourself to breathe that in, and I'll just repeat the next ones. May I be calm. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself as I am. Drinking these in once again. May I be safe and healthy. May I be calm. May I be kind to myself. May I accept myself as I am. When you start to feel more balance, you can use this, especially if you're feeling stressed, like that. But then we can also include, as we do on this path, the idea of thinking about others. What's happening for them? What is their experience? So you can imagine on an exhalation, sending to them, may we all feel safe and healthy. The inhalation is to you. The exhalation is the loving kindness to them. And as you exhale again, may we all feel calm. Exhaling, may we all be kind to ourselves. May we all accept ourselves as we are. So if you'd like, whatever you remember from these, just spend a couple of minutes now. Inhaling, exhaling, practicing these loving kindness words. Offering to yourself, offering to others. So please relax, and when you're ready, please open your eyes. I want to discuss with you today some basic coping mechanisms that I'm sure many of you are familiar with and already implementing. But sometimes we get lost and a little off focus. It's very normal. So it's just some reminders. And some of us may feel that we're doing very well and we're really enjoying this time. And one example myself is I travel a lot. And I came back, the last trip was maybe March 7th from San Francisco. And I've really enjoyed being home because I'm constantly packing and unpacking and getting ready for the next trip. And so, but then it's, what are you doing in the space that you have then if suddenly things have changed? For some of you, it's different. You're working full-time at home. And some of you are working full-time at home, managing school-age children and them trying to do their studies, or college students. So you're sharing internet, the internet may not be working as well, and on and on. There's many different experiences happening. And then the other thing is there is also the sandwich generation. Those of you that had children later, so you're managing and balancing the household with the children of any age. They're living at home, they've come home, and you've got aging parents, elderly parents that might be living with you, or they may be in a nursing facility nearby that could be really terrifying right now if they're in a nursing facility, as we know what's happening with the nursing facilities. So you're doing the best you can, and that's all any of us can do, okay? That's all any of us can do, which is why I brought in the loving kindness meditation, because I find that we're sometimes neglecting ourselves. We do it in subtle ways, we do it in more blatant ways. But the beginning is, it's okay sometimes to be a little lazy right now. Okay? We're setting up something we've never set up before in our lives. So it's all new territory. It's also okay to be stressed or anxious right now. It's a very challenging time. We've never experienced anything like this in our lives, of having to social distance. We are beings, human. The nature of being a mammal is you're social. Many mammals are social. It's just the way we interact with each other. So the fact that you can't do that goes against many of our grains like that. So I just first want to analyze a couple things. If stress is something that you're suffering from and you label it, I'm stressed out, I'm overwhelmed, I'm anxious. Okay, we want to identify, one of the first things, something we do on the Buddhist path very much, is to identify and analyze what's really going on with the mind. So I would ask you, as much as possible, can you look at what's really going on with the mind, with my mind, when I say I'm stressed? Let me give you some deeper definitions. Stress, number one. a response to adverse or very demanding circumstances. Is that what's actually happening for you? So meaning if someone's home, you still have your job or you're retired, and you can stay in your pajamas all day because you don't have to go out. You don't even need to brush your teeth, right? Are you really experiencing adverse or very demanding circumstances when you actually analyze? Is it that stressful for you? Is it adverse that you can't go out for a walk in your neighborhood? I think everybody can go out for a walk. Maybe not seeing certain family closely and having that family dinner, or having your kids be able to come over and be able to go to the grocery store without a mask, you feel that's adverse. Okay, then that can be stressful. But are there any demanding circumstances in your life right now? Because that's what stress, if you say I'm stressed, that's what it's normally in relation to. So we want to get our terminology right to really identify what's happening, rather than just overusing something that starts rubbing up against other people we're interacting with. Whether you're interacting on a face call with someone and you make them stressed because you keep using that word. Okay, so first of all, the meditation calms us down, for one, and then we start to analyze. I don't have anything that demanding right now. Okay, there are some adverse circumstances going on, no question. Okay, let's look at anxiety for a moment. Anxiety is worry about future uncertainty and the inability to control what will happen to you. So as a Buddhist, we should really be working well on our anxiety to minimize that. And the reason is, as a Buddhist, you realize that everything's uncertain. Everything is uncertain. It's one of the basic sufferings that we discuss when we talk about 3 sufferings, 6 sufferings, 8 sufferings. So one of those sufferings is uncertainty. There's nothing you can count on but change. Nothing you can count on. So if you're being anxious about uncertain times, that would be worthwhile to analyze and work with, because everything's always uncertain. And the more, we've talked about this before, the more you can work with small changes in your life and get very good at adapting to them with a balanced mind, a mind that is undisturbed, then you can work with the bigger changes, like right now. So and the biggest change you will go through is your own death, and certainly the loss of a loved one. But if you're able to work with your friend cancels lunch plans with you and you're okay. Something's changed on the schedule at work. The thing you were going to make for dinner, somebody ate it or it's spoiled. If you can deal with those and not get so upset, then when bigger changes come, this is a rehearsal. Our lives are a rehearsal if we're practicing. Or what would be good to analyze is, what are you practicing? What are you practicing now? Because that's what your mind will become familiar with. And those are the kind of things that inform our activities, our mind state, and how peaceful we're going to be when we die. And then the second part of anxiety is an inability to control what will happen to you. What can you control? Just your attitude or your mind. What can you control, right? So we try to control things, but the only thing you can really control is your mind. In a sense, your attitude towards things. You can't control at all what will happen to you other than participating in your karma. Meaning, are you familiar with the 10 non-virtues and trying to keep yourself away from those with the activities of your body, speech, and mind? Like that. Because that's a way that I'm creating positive imprints for the future. That's a way I can control for the future what may happen. But karma is very intricate. We've had classes on that before. It's very intricate. So it's really hard to directly say, this is going to happen. So do I need to spend a lot of time with anxiety if I'm just working on controlling my mind, making my mind more peaceful, clearer, getting in touch with that clear nature of your mind, which is one of the actual characteristics of your mind, clarity. Am I working on getting in touch with that? We're going to do a meditation in a little bit to just try to ease ourselves into that, to get in touch with that clarity, like that. If you're worried about future uncertainty, how do you ever know that things will happen? A lot of times we have made plans for the holiday and it happens, that's great, but you don't know whether something will interrupt it first. I had plans as well for travel and teachings and pilgrimage. It's all changed now. And a lot of times people will ask me, we had a retreat that was scheduled this August, September with Lama Zopa Rinpoche, my main teacher. And a lot of people would say to me, are you going to be at the retreat? Are you going? And I always said to them, I hope so. I don't know if I'm going. I hope so. I'm planning on it, but I have no idea until I actually get there. And there I am in my seat, whether I'm going to be at the retreat. And even if I get there, I don't know if I'll be able to stay the whole time. Because one time my mother was very, very ill and I had to leave a little early. So again, you just never know. The same thing happened to retreat last spring for me. I left a little bit early because my dad was dying. Like that. So, so why don't we even frame our language of I hope so instead of, oh yeah, I'm going to be there. Like I'm so sure I will be there. I never know till I get there. I don't know if the retreat will happen. Now the retreat's been postponed till next year. The pilgrimage I was leading to Laudo this May, we've postponed it till next spring. So if you are interested, couldn't go this year, we will be going next year. Okay, the next thing I want to discuss, the next word is pressure. Do you feel pressure and overwhelm? Okay, pressure is when you perceive that something at stake is dependent on your performance. Is that going on for you right now? Okay, do you some of you don't need to perform at all. You're retired. There's no boss, you're the boss. Some of you are on furlough for the time being. So nothing dependent on what you're showing up for work and how you're doing at work, like that. Do you have pressure because the money's running out? Okay, then you might want to look at who is hiring. There are some companies hiring right now. Is that an option for you? Like that. So identifying the underlying feeling and responding in a more helpful way can be enormously helpful to balance your mind right now. So let's look at some other things. And I will make time for questions as well. So what do you do with your worry right now? You want to know when Philadelphia is going to open up, if you're in Philadelphia, when your area will open up. You're worried about a relative getting ill. You're worried about your family becoming ill. You or your family. You're worried about your money. Okay. And what happens is you may ruminate through the worry thought. And we ruminate and we loop and loop and loop. And then I make a deep trench of that in my mind. I make a deep trench of that in my mind. Okay. Wait, and I'm going to interrupt for a review because I know I've taught this before at the center. And it's so nice to see all of you again. As a review, I mentioned avoiding the 10 non-virtuous behaviors. These are part of karma teachings, 10 non-virtuous behaviors, because this is the way I start directing my present and future, is by avoiding 10 non-virtuous behaviors. So what I'd like you to do in the chat, if you can, is to, and we've got some people on the phone. So if they do want to unmute for a moment and speak, but let's go in order. There's 3 related to your body that you avoid with your body, 4 you avoid with your speech, and 3 of these non-virtues you avoid with your mind. What's number 1? Okay, number 1 is killing, not stealing, it's killing. Do not kill, thank you. Okay, thank you. That's the first thing we do, which actually in Buddhism goes all the way down to insects. Okay, number 2. Number 2. It's not sexual misconduct.
Do not steal.
Do not steal, thank you. Stealing, which Dave had mentioned before. Stealing, taking what is not offered, borrowing without asking, all involved in stealing, like that. Okay, somebody else now. Thank you, Helga, stealing. Dave said the third one is sexual misconduct. Sexual misconduct, like adultery. So we avoid that. Those are the three we avoid with our body. Okay, anybody else? We're going to get into the 4 of speech that are in order of heaviness. That number 1, somebody else from Jen. Thank you, lying. We avoid lying. We avoid lying. Speaking dishonestly, we know what that is. Exaggeration is considered lying. Okay, second one of speech. We're going to go in order. The second one of speech.
Slander.
Anybody else?
Slander. Do not slander.
So, divisive speech. Thank you. That's how I would say divisive speech, not decisive. Divisive. Divisive speech when you're saying things that split people apart. Okay. Then we come to, from Ellie, thank you, harsh speech, which might be considered slander. Harsh speech, yelling at somebody, cursing at somebody. Okay. The fourth one of speech that we avoid is the lightest one. Anybody remember? Thank you. Gossip from Atoll, gossip. Okay. But the issue with gossip, the problem with gossip or idle chatter is we do it all the time. We do it a lot. That's the problem, is we're very familiar and we do it too much. Okay. Then we avoid 3 things with our mind. Number 1. Anybody remember? People always miss this one. Not ill will. That's the second one of the mind. Covetousness. Thank you. Are you looking at your notes, Jen? Covetousness or greediness, having a greedy mind. Okay. The second one of our mind is harmful intent or malice that we avoid with our mind. And the last one is holding wrong views. Holding wrong views. Okay, which relate to emptiness on an ultimate level. But on another level, it also relates to thoroughly dismissing the Dharma as garbage. It's different than being discerning. Discerning is very helpful, where we're checking and investigating thoroughly. Please investigate what I'm saying, actually, everything I'm saying, like that. Does it work for your experience? Okay, something works, great. If it doesn't work, leave it, put it to the side. Thank you. So let's go on with the no worry. I talked about if you're looping through worry and making that deep trench in your mind, how does it help? Okay, we make problems bigger than they are. Okay, so instead of worrying, can you accept whatever you have no control over? Prepare wherever you can, okay? And try to choose a more balanced mind. Try to habituate yourself, please, with some healthier practices. So here's one. How many of you are news junkies? Okay, sorry, here's a question. Can I talk a little bit more about what is gossip? Just to interrupt for a moment, and what isn't gossip? Gossip is not just talking about someone behind their back, but it's also going on and on and on about the latest sporting event you watched, and the person you're speaking to really has no interest. And there's not a whole lot of meaning in that. Like that, you're going on with this long joke that you're telling. And I know I learned this once from Lama Zopa Rinpoche. We were at a small dinner. There were maybe 5 of us having dinner in this house, and one guy was a little bit, how do you say, he's always kind of has quite an ego and thinks a lot of himself, and was telling a joke. And it was a long joke, long story, long joke. And he got to the punchline, and we laughed, and Rinpoche looked at him and just said, and then? Like, didn't laugh and just said, and then? So in a sense, like, what's the point of going through this whole thing that had no meaning for people? So do consider that if you're going through the whole plot twist of the film you just saw, check, does it have meaning for people? Now, it doesn't mean you have to speak about the Dharma all the time, but within reason of consider what you're saying, that is there a point in talking about this with someone? Now, granted, you can certainly tell jokes and lighten up and discuss other things. How long do you want to go on? Again, if you find the person's not that interested. Should holding wrong views not be most important? Well, holding wrong views is one of with the mind. So what do you mean by not be most important? I'm not sure. So let me explain wrong views from Marjan. I wasn't sure. Wrong views for Nancy. Wrong views could be, for instance, an ethical wrong view. For instance, in the 20th century, the early part of the 20th century, I'm not sure that people understood the ramifications of smoking tobacco, that it had negative health effects. I'm not sure they really understood that at the time. But by the 1940s and 50s, I think they were starting to see that it may cause lung cancer. And they certainly knew that by the 60s. So if you think now that cigarette smoking is not harmful to your health, that's holding a wrong view. Like if you think it's okay to steal, to rob a bank, that's a wrong ethical view. But obviously the ultimate wrong view is not having a direct perception of emptiness or the nature of reality and holding yourself so concretely existent. And one thing I would recommend right now is, I just finished reading a book called In Love with the World by Mingyur Rinpoche, In Love with the World. And it's a nice book of his exploration of being this highly realized, recognized incarnation. And he decides to leave the monastery and go off on a roaming, wandering retreat on his own. And at one point gets very ill and nearly dies. And in his death experience, which we've all been through, and we are all going to go through again, is when you come to this space that you are just an interconnected energy with all things, and all the concepts leave like that, you're in a sense, and I really took it to something I've been really working on more and more, is how we all really just need to get in touch with love. And I'm not saying that love's going to pay your bills and things. You have to practically engage with your reality. But how do you want to do that? And do I want to do it as a concretely existing solid being into my own space, which is the opposite of the nature of reality, that things only exist in dependence on other things and people and experiences. It's the only way. We see this now, the interdependence of all of us. So I kind of, there's a part of me that is enjoying the pause, not for poor people on the planet and not for the sick people, but enjoying the pause that when I do hear and read some things in the news about could we put the pieces back together in a gentler, kinder, more harmonious way that is going to serve more beings. I really feel that's our responsibility on the planet. And I don't think everyone on the planet's gotten that idea yet. And I don't think all the politicians or all the leaders have gotten that idea. But just you in your own practice then, can you move that idea, if that's something that interests you, through your life right now, through this pause, through your time with living at home with your family? And how much are you responding from a loving, connected heart? We can all always be connected there, like that, as opposed to the opposite of emptiness, which creates separation and alienation and solidity and concretized concepts that don't really exist that way. They don't really exist that way, but we are so familiarized with doing it the wrong way and having the wrong view that we don't know anymore. We're completely blind. So for me, this is the main thing that I just think our environment was crumbling. And now they show you all the pictures with climate change of, oh, how great we're doing. So we had to be brought to our knees to deal with climate change? Apparently. I find that really sad that we couldn't do it in a more constructive way. Well, not in the United States, we couldn't do it. Not with the leadership that we have. So, will companies now be looking at having more people working from home? I think it's okay to do that. Less traffic on the road. So something to think about. So, can you, so I hope that helps. Well, we talked about gossip. I hope that helps with the wrong views. What a greedy mind is, don't people know what a greedy mind is? Where you want other people's things. You're never happy at what they get when they get something that you want. Like that. Does that help? Okay. I think that's, okay. Okay, so I'm going to take some questions later so I can get through the, great. So the familiarization. And so here's another thing of how many of you are news junkies I mentioned? And yeah, I see some hands up. Okay, news junkies. So please right now, and this is for everybody, can you please limit your screen time? Please limit your screen time. This is TV, computer, device, tablet, phone, whatever. We can get together right now, if you think this is positive, and I do think it is positive, to do positive things with our screen time. Like that. But what else are you doing with your screen time? And I have people that are, a lot of people contacting me for one-on-one consults to talk with me, whatever. And basically they feel really lazy and unmotivated because they're streaming Netflix videos nonstop and they're looping the news over and over and over. Let's analyze again. Let's get real with ourselves, and you need to be strong right now during this time, okay? There's a part of you that needs to be strong. The news doesn't change that much hour to hour. It just doesn't. So if you want to see a little bit in the morning, however you get it, if you want to watch a little bit at night or read a little bit at night, isn't that enough? Otherwise, it's not good news that's going on. So that's going to stress you out. Why do you need that in your mind when you could be doing practice? You could be reciting mantras. Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and I'm sure Losang Rinpoche has recommendations of what to do. We have practices, and I lead every Wednesday and Saturday at 1 o'clock. You're all welcome to join it through our New York Center. I can give you the link. We have practice sessions of what's been recommended from Lama Zopa Rinpoche, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and Khandrola, who's this incredible female Dakini that I'm just going to put, there's the link, and you can go through that site, come to the COVID practices. I'm leading one on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. It's 30 to 40 minutes. We post all the things that you have to read. If you're interested in a little something, waking up, we recite some Om Mani Padme Hum mantras as part of it and some other mantras. You can try, but there's lots of things out there. So why have the news looping and all these kind of mindless videos? Some people then say to me, they're overwhelmed with all that's out there. So choose wisely. And you know what? That's good enough. You can't do everything. You know, suddenly I had this space and I went, oh, I'm not traveling. I can do this training and I can do that training and this is online and I can do that. And then I'm teaching and then I can learn this language, and you can't do it all. Okay, so let that go, but choose something that you've wanted to do. Maybe make a little list. Look online of where are they offering that? Can I start that training? Can I get that certificate? A certificate that may benefit you for your next job if you're not working now, or even if you are, that you may have time to slot in. I mean, the longest training I've been doing is 3 hours. I have one today after this class. A training in secular Buddhism, how to teach courses without all the terminology that's part of our organization. So look at what is possible and then sign up and register. Some of them are free. A lot of the stuff is free, or a lot of it is worthwhile and it's something you may have wanted to do. Maybe it is time to learn that language you've wanted to learn. Maybe it is time again to read those Dharma books that you've been waiting to read, like that. So again, prepare what you can, and then can I keep the mind balanced? And it's also okay to take breaks and plan. Like I wanted, you know, I've been, there's a series I was watching since last summer. This is how long it took me to get, I'm still going through. And so last night I finished a whole lot of stuff. I was done, and I just watched a half an hour of it on the TV, on some program, or I don't know what it was, that my brother's Prime account or something. And I managed to get a half an hour in of an installment. You're gonna laugh. Ken Burns, his baseball series that he made. Been trying to watch. It's an investment, you know. It's like many hours. So I've been started last summer, and I just get a half an hour in because I'm missing baseball season. Okay. So it's perfectly okay to have those breaks. And the other thing is, many of you know, if you're not doing well and you're lazy and you're not getting anything done because you're overwhelmed, it does help to set a schedule. I think many of you know this. It can help to set a schedule. And someone I was talking with recently, we talked about your container for the day. You've got a container. Imagine this container. What you want to get in the container first, because you want all your rocks, pebbles, and sand to fit in this container. What I need to do is first plant the big rocks first. I'll give you an example. My big rocks, my practice. That has to get done every day. That's going to be one of the first things in my container. A second one is exercise. I can't stress how much right now, how helpful it is to move your body, because you're not moving your body with your normal goings and activities that you're normally doing. The weather's getting nicer and it's spring, and flowers are blooming, and trees are grow. Everything's happening. And I find many more animals are outside because we are not. It's so interesting. I had 6, I have a small woods behind my parents' house. It's small, but it does support a deer population. And I had 6 young males cross the backyard into the front street the other day. So again, can you get out there, the fresh air, it's warming up, get some sun on your face. You can walk with someone and they can distance themselves from you if you want to hang out with somebody. I did that with my niece the other day. We drove to meet together, distanced, and we did this beautiful walk together, and I could connect with her. So please move your bodies. There's a ton of stuff, as you know, online. A lot of it is free. If you're a member of a local Y, they have these online programs for free, like that. You don't want to do an hour thing? You're in your home, do 20 minutes. You don't have to walk out of the studio, you know, and it's free. You're not even paying for it. So just move your body, some kind of stretch routine you might want. Maybe this is the time to finally check out the yoga classes. It doesn't matter about equipment. Improvise. People are using their laundry detergent containers as weights, and you can always improvise. You know, a bag of rice or something is a perfect weight. Okay. So you've got your big rocks. Get the big rocks in there first. Some of you are working, so that's going to be a big rock. Okay. Then you want to fill in with the pebbles. You know, when am I going to eat, or what am I going to eat, or I do need to get some food today and order blah, 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 or go to the store to get it. And then I need to do this. And then you got the sand that fills in everything else, all the little things that if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. So maybe make a schedule that, and make a realistic schedule. If you're getting up later, for instance, in the day, that's okay. Just start the schedule later. But some people, what I'm finding is start the day, if you're starting the day later, I was just going to say I'm getting distracted by the chat, so if we can just leave it off to what I'm talking about, that would be really helpful. You know, and just set up, some people like to get up and get dressed right away and brush their teeth. And the reason is then they feel like they're engaging the day. If you find that's helpful, why don't you try to do that a few times a week? Try to do that a few times a week. So let's talk about other things, is solution focus, the solution focus. It means making the choice. It's not always about having a sunny outlook, that everything's great. This is samsara. We know it's not great. Okay, so we're based in reality. It means making the choice to see problems as opportunities. Every problem and difficult situation is embedded with a solution. And the adventure lies in finding the solution. Can you see some of these opportunities as something more positive? And have a positive spin on it can be very helpful. Lama Zopa Rinpoche, the first thing he likes us to do in our practice is a short scanning meditation of the Lam Rim. It's a prayer with some lojong, mind training verses after that. And then there's some mantras, and you can do the whole thing in about 10 minutes. But the name of it is called The Method to Transform a Suffering Life into Happiness. Well, here we are. We've got a suffering situation on the planet. We've got a huge challenge right now. You know, how can I manage that? How can I manage that? To find some interesting creative solutions right now for me to cope with being at home. And many people are finding some really creative ways to be at home and enjoying, bringing more music and laughter into their lives and reorganizing priorities to make life more meaningful for them. It's possible. It's possible. Here's another thing I wanted to mention is pack up your thoughts. Pack up your thoughts for a moment. What are you choosing right now to hold on to in your mind? You can always pack up some unnecessary negative thinking. Imagine you're putting it in a bag in the bottom of the closet. Okay, but what's useful is take one of those items out every day in your mind and analyze. Do I need this anymore? Is it serving me? So every day, you don't need all those negative thoughts swimming around your mind. Pack them up. But every day, your deal is with yourself, I'm going to pack them up right now, but every day I'm going to explore one of them. I'm going to explore one of them and wonder why I'm so hard on myself, for instance, and how does that benefit me or anyone? Okay? And what are the practices for that? One of the things I'd recommend is I'm reading a book right now, Kristen Neff. I borrowed a bit of her loving kindness meditation. Kristen Neff, N-E-F-F, is a psychologist. I'm reading her book on self-compassion right now. So if you're kind of like, I can't go to the library, libraries, by the way, are allowing you to join online. You can get a library card online. Once you have that library card, you can then borrow books online through an app called Overdrive. Your library can hook you up to that. It's wonderful. I love it. I use it all the time. So when you pack away all the negative thinking, the ruminating negativities that are making you fearful and angry and upset, then you have the space to create something new and positive. Okay. Another thing is about finding clarity. So I want to do this brief meditation right now, finding clarity. Clarity is more than knowing whether you should choose this over this, okay? But it really happens when you're getting in touch with the true nature of your mind, one of the aspects of the two aspects that really are the characteristics of your mind, according to Tibetan Buddhism, is your mind is clear and your mind is knowing, it's aware. That's your mind, that's it. Clear and knowing, okay? So let's explore the clarity aspect, because I find with the clarity, I'm better able to calm myself down. I'm better able to relax myself and to then be able to analyze what is really freaking me out right now. What can I do about it in a constructive way with a good motivation? And analyzing, I can't do anything about it, and letting it go with a good motivation. Okay. And also some people want to mention what's helpful. A number of people have come to me and said they feel guilty that they're doing well and they're really enjoying this time and they're reading the books they've wanted to read and they're doing these practices and they're feeling guilty. So because people are running out of food and don't have money and are sick and dying. So what can you do? So let's analyze what you can do. And there's a lot of websites that are helping. And so there's a few things that I've actually engaged in because we are limited from extensive volunteering. It depends which groups, okay? And it depends on you yourself. If you're a vulnerable population, if you have any illnesses, I would probably stay home, not engage with others, not to infect yourself. But one of the things I've done is once a week I drop food off at a local food bank. And so I go to a box store and buy it, like BJ's. And what I've learned is I go to BJ's right before they close because no one's in the store. Now I'm looking at a suburban BJ's, but really right before they close, the community I live in closes up early. So if I go after 8 o'clock, there's very few people in the store. There's no checkout lines or anything. And I know exactly what I need to get for the food bank. So I just run around to those aisles, I grab my stuff, I'm maybe in the store for 15 minutes, and then I put it in my trunk, and then I alcohol everything in the trunk, the outside of the packaging, with the 70% alcohol solution that's in hand sanitizer, like that. And then if I can leave it in the trunk if it's not going to spoil till the next day, or I bring it into my garage and leave it there. And then the next day I drive it to the food bank that usually has their door cracked ajar. They have delivery hours, and I don't even need to touch the door, but I have a mask, and then I go in and I drop it off, and I've had minimal contact with people. So another thing that happened is I've signed up for this refugee volunteer group. And what they do is they send notices on email that diapers need to be picked up, batches of diapers from one place and driven to a home in another place. So you have minimal contact with anybody. And if you have a car, that might be something that you can drive things for people without getting in touch with anybody. The other thing they did the other day was ask, this is a little bit more of a financial donation, like the food for the food bank, but they went online and gave a list of school items that a family needed in North Philly. And that way I could just order them online and have them shipped directly to their home. So different ways you can volunteer and you can do something. And that's basically all I really feel right now I can do, other than offering these online courses, trying to keep my mind stable. And then I connect with a lot of people with audio and face calls of many people I know that are alone right now and they're lonely, and some elderly people I know that are struggling. So I've been trying to do these calls with them periodically to just, check in and stay connected and make them feel like people are thinking about them, like that. So let's just take a moment right now, find that comfortable position again. We're going to do a brief meditation to get in touch with the clarity of our mind. Then I'll take some questions. And again, if you'd like to put your feet flat on the floor, that's fine, or you could have your legs crossed. Slowly allow your mind to settle on your breath, just a normal, natural breath. And imagine right now you are seated, gazing out at a beautiful, clear mountain lake. Just put yourself as best as you can in that environment, gazing out over the extremely clear, unfettered surface of this lake. And notice how occasionally a bubble will rise to the surface of the lake, and ripples will go out from there. Eventually the bubble pops or dissolves back into the surface. And notice the ripples subside. returning your awareness to that utter clarity of the lake that is like your mind, like the true nature of your mind. Even though your mind feels like busyness and clutter, frustration, depression, that's not the true nature of your mind. Those are simply imbalanced states passing through like the bubbles. What's their essence? So as you stay merged as much as you can with that clear mountain lake, just notice as distractions or thoughts appear in your mind. See them like the bubbles on the surface of the lake. Notice how a bigger delusion, bigger imbalance in the mind, bigger bubble on the surface of the lake creates larger ripples disturbing the surface. Just like that imbalance in your mind. Can you let the imbalances float off more quickly? Let them go rather than following them and etching them more deeply in your mind? Look at them like the bubbles. Not much essence there other than what we make of it. And let them go again, returning your awareness to this expansive clarity that is like your mind. If you notice these thoughts in your mind again, whatever they are, be gentle with yourself with the thoughts. If you have a negative thought in your mind, well, sometimes we do, it's okay. But we can work with it to transform it if we're aware of why it's there and where it's coming from. So it's okay to analyze a bit, but not overly ruminate, holding yourself hostage in the negative space, creating more imprints of that. So be gentle with yourself as you familiarize yourself with your true nature. Just try your best. And again, just returning yourself to that clarity of the lake, merging yourself with that as much as possible. Can you note what is between the thoughts that arise in your mind? There's a gap. Can you focus on the space, that gap, instead of the thoughts themselves? And slowly bring yourself back to seated, again, gazing out at the lake. And slowly bring yourself back to your current space. Please relax. You can open your eyes. So please, are there any questions? And I'm just going to type in, if it's helpful, my website, because there's things right on the homepage of other things I'm doing for April. And it looks like for New York, it's going to continue into May, because they just asked me, because they're going to be sheltering longer in place right now, as we might be as well. And if you're interested in the pilgrimage next year, the dates are not set, but it will be April or May. But all the details, the itinerary will be the same. Like that, so you can read that. So it looks like I did read about this Interfaith Walk for Peace. I don't know how they're planning to do it on virtually, but there is the link from Linda. Thank you. Somebody mentioned that to me.
Amy,
Please.
since you want to take questions now, of course, people can do it through chat, and I know some people are on the phone. What I'd
Yes.
like to do is unmute everybody, but before I do, please take a moment to make sure you yourself are muted. And if you have a question for Amy and you get in dialogue with Amy, you could unmute yourself, okay? So I'm gonna unmute you all, but please check again to make sure you are muted.
Thank you, Elazar, and thank you so much for hosting all of this. And I also want to mention, please, I don't know the situation with Chenrezig Tibetan Buddhist Center directly. But, please consider making an offering to your center, this center. Centers are struggling right now, and it's very hard. So if you're not going to get your lattes every day at your favorite cafe, and you haven't been eating out, or going to your favorite restaurant, or going to the movies, or moving around, or driving your car, those funds, and I know you may be struggling yourself, that's different, but if you can, think about making a donation to the Chenrezig Tibetan Buddhist Center. It's really, really a helpful way to do it. It is another nonprofit that, yes, needs your help. So please consider that, and maybe you can put a link up of the best way that they can do that. Okay, so here's a question. How do I reconcile feelings of ill will towards some of our political leaders? Okay, this is a question I always get. Okay, so the thing is, imagine if you were a political leader right now. And I've worked in politics. It's not anything I would wish on my worst enemy. It's why I'm a nun now, okay? So it's just a way that we want to bring about positive change. I think some of them have very good intention, but it takes a lot of ego in order to run for political office in the world, or particularly in the States, and it takes a lot of money. So, imagine being a leader of your state right now. I think it would be a nightmare. They can't control this virus. They run out of equipment. Their hospitals are overrun, especially in particularly some of the states like I think of, New York is really struggling right now. New Jersey, California is very scared because they have a huge population of people and a huge homeless population in California. So you think about, they don't know what to do, and then, we have some leaders that, I don't think they're really operating with a full deck, right? So they don't know really how to, call on the scientific experts and pull in the right people to do it. And the one thing we can do is everybody needs compassion. Everybody deserves it. Why? Because we're all suffering sentient beings. We're all lost if we don't have a direct perception of emptiness. If you don't have a direct perception of emptiness, our view is always wrong. So when I think about that with all the beings on the planet and how so few of them have a direct perception of emptiness, it's like children, how can I not have compassion? How can I not have compassion? So do think about that. And I don't want them to hold me hostage in my heart because I'm angry at them. I don't need that in my heart, right? So that's a way I can think, wow. Sorry, can you mute your mic, whoever's, sorry. So anyway, that's just one thing I wanted to mention is that and this is a great person that helps us practice patience, right? If they're really challenging you. You can't get enlightened without perfect patience. And you can't practice and perfect your patience with your friends because they don't really challenge you. So when you have somebody that's really challenging you that you don't like, and that you're wondering why they're saying and doing the things they're doing, that helps you practice patience. There's a lot of different ways to look at the political leaders. Annie Mayton, is that helpful? I'm not sure where you are, but.
Yes, it's very helpful. Thank you very much.
Sure, it's a hard one right now, but they're doing, they're mucking along like the rest of us. And some of them aren't doing that well. Some of them. So here's another thing you can do is you can vote. We have a primary, well, now we can't in our primary if you're depending, there's not much to vote for, but in November, you can vote and it does count and it makes a difference. And so I think do exercise that right. I think it's very important. Other questions? Suggestions for working with anger. We have done some workshops, wonderful workshops at Chenrezig Center, and there's a number of things on my website. If you go to under watch and listen, and there's a YouTube channel as well connected to it. So
I got the Mac makeup.
sorry,
And I got the
can you mute that person? I'm not sure who it is. Okay, so thank you. So there's some things on the YouTube channel directly about dealing with difficult people that would help with anger. And for instance, some of the things I'd mention is practicing loving kindness. So directing some of that loving kindness, the meditation we did early on towards them, and analyzing, considering we have things in common when you feel anger at someone. And is it working with anger? Is it anger at someone? Is it anger at an inanimate thing? Anna, if you want to say. So in any event, you can work with feelings for a person. Sorry?
I'm sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I'm dealing with some challenging situations in my work right now as a healthcare worker. And that's all I can really say about it right now. Okay, well, thank you for doing, and all the healthcare workers, I can't thank you enough for what you're doing. I have a friend who's a nurse in Florida, and I'm a couple nurses in Florida, and I'm often in touch with them to kind of just say, I'm thinking about you. And
So partly our system, our healthcare system is broken. Is that pretty apparent to people? It's a broken system. We have one of the richest countries in the world and we have a broken healthcare system. Seriously, now this is samsara, nothing's perfect, but I could even see with my father, who had cancer, is what he died of last year. And we were able, due to his good insurance, to go to the best cancer people at Penn. The best cancer doc in the world, apparently, for this kind of cancer, right? But because they have to take so many patients per day in order to pay their bills and their malpractice and all that, they can't really focus on, we were the ones having to show him and call his attention to certain things on the MRI report and this report and that he hadn't seen while he was prescribing the wrong medication. So this is the best insurance. So something's wrong with the system where a friend of mine who's a psychiatrist, and she said when she got into her discipline, the reason she chose psychiatry is they told her, if you choose these other disciplines, these other medical specialties, you're going to be required to see 45 patients a day. But if you choose psychiatry, you can see 8 patients a day. So she said, well, I'll take psychiatry. She goes, I'm not going to practice medicine trying to see 45 patients in a 7 or 8 hour day. So again, this is something about our leaders, is contacting them about what's important to you. That's what I would say, is sitting in the anger, put it into action. There's a couple things. You look at what you can do and try to do that through writing letters to representatives and your bosses and your company, organizing people to do that together, to come and, meet with people together, voting different people in as leadership, finding another job, okay? And then realizing a fifth option, sometimes there's nothing you can do and then we have to practice letting it go. This is samsara. So there's different, but can I work in a constructive way, but without the expectation that it will change, but you just keep 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I don't know if that's helpful, Anna.
Yes, thank you so much.
Do the best you can. And also finding, while you're in that system, especially healthcare workers, finding buoyant ways to renew yourself, please. Please take care of yourself. 1 fun thing a day at least, please do that. And, making sure that your environment you come home to is safe and secure and renews you, makes you feel good. Whether you get into a nice bath or go out for a walk on a nice day and like have that wonderful cup of coffee and just have it alone, like just really drink it in to, and whether you're able with other healthcare workers to give them hugs because maybe you're allowed to be in contact with them. I know some of my friends said they could do that among themselves, but so finding those kinds of things are really, really important for you. So thank you. I can't thank you enough for taking care of us and allowing us to stay home. Thank you. And risking yourself. So feelings of excitement for things, knowing that they're uncertain. So excitement in a negative way or a positive way, Kara? Positive way. Okay, so, can you give me an example? Because I was thinking somebody is planning a wedding later in the summer. And they are excited, but they're also having a contingency plan in case it doesn't happen.
Yeah, so I guess like what I'm thinking of is I'm supposed to start grad school in the fall, but it's very dependent on whether I get a job and whether I can move to Philadelphia and everything like that. So I was really excited for it, but now like it doesn't seem like it's going to happen, so I don't know.
And
like,
where are you living now?
I'm in Connecticut right now.
Yeah. So, one of the things, will the school be online?
Potentially, but I would need a job to be able to pay for it. So it's like very dependent on that.
So again, analyze the situation. There are some companies that are hiring right now. Now they may not be the exact kind of company you want to work for, but it could be that you decide to put in some applications just so there is some money coming in. There are also grants possibly. if you've been self-employed, there's some self-employment, whatever, things like that, or whether you decide to take out a loan because it's more valuable to get that education and to do that knowing you'll be working in the future when you'll be able to pay it back. The other thing you could do is, if there's an option, to ask any friends or family that may be able to make a loan to you for this time. And then at that point, if there's, I don't know what else you could do other than that, of just waiting and trying to be like, okay, constructively, let me move forward with these ideas. And that's all you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then A Simple Life from Allison is, okay, Airbnb. Okay, so there's a nice offer. This is the way we get connected. Allison offering to Kara. She's got an Airbnb, 10 blocks from Temple, or 10 blocks from the center near Temple. If you need a place, maybe you guys can connect and you can discuss. That's wonderful. That's very sweet, like that. Okay, looking at the space and the gap between your thoughts. Mind the gap. Yes, in London, when you take the tube, the subway, they always say, mind the gap. You know, but I find it really interesting. There is a gap between your thoughts. If you do meditation like that on the nature of the mind, looking at that clarity aspect. The meditation we were doing was simply to remind you about that aspect of your mind that we're not often in touch with because we don't meditate. So if you want to sit beside the lake and notice it, some people imagine lying on their back looking up into the sky. Again, clear blue sky. Merge yourself with that expanse and see your thoughts coming up like clouds in the sky. Sometimes they're light little puffy thoughts of nothing. And sometimes you're really angry and it's like a bank of rain clouds completely obscuring your view of the sky, like your mind. You don't see the clarity of your mind, you just see anger and you're merged with anger. So the thing is, start to notice those thoughts through some basic 5-minute, 10-minute meditation, first beginning with the breath, slowly noticing the thoughts, and then notice there are these little spaces between the thoughts. Where does the thought come from anyway? See if you can look at that. And what are you making your mind familiar with right now? This is a unique time that you could start familiarizing your mind that then rolls into your behavior with something really positive, with positive things. Okay, but you need to make the effort to go online and look at some of these websites where people are doing positive meditations. Look at Kristen Neff's website. She has a website with wonderful self-compassion exercises and meditations. Really helpful. You could go to Brené Brown's website. Really helpful things there of reorienting our mind in a more positive way, getting real with vulnerability and fear. You know, I like to go to Lama Zopa Rinpoche. He's teaching every day for about an hour, hour and a half. If it's hard to understand him, this is more traditional Tibetan view. I love it. If it's hard to understand him, they have somebody posting a transcription that they're typing so you can read along. And you see this great Buddhist master, and there's many of them online right now, but this is going on regularly every day. He's in Nepal, and I find it really makes me buoyant. You can't watch an hour and a half, watch 15 minutes of it. Just make a little chart. I'm going to do a half an hour this site, half an hour that thing. Then I'm going to take a break, have a cup of tea. Then I got to do my work. Then I'm going to do my practice. Then I've got to go out and deal with my garden. Then I'm going to go out for a walk. Make little pockets of the day. It doesn't have to be that you watch the whole 2-hour video. You get a half an hour. Fantastic. Okay, there is Allison's email for Kara. Did you get that email? Okay. Okay, Fearful Thoughts Awakening. If you want to say more about that, please do. I'm not sure I understand that one. I think that's one of my friends. Yes, from Pacific. I think that's my friend, wonderful old friend of mine. So please, Franny, let me know what you mean by Fearful Thoughts Awakening. When you wake up in the morning, you have fearful thoughts. Could be like that. Okay, if you have fearful thoughts when you wake up, a lot of people do, Some people have them going to sleep at night. Okay. Number one, it's perfectly normal. Perfectly normal right now. This is a big time. People are out of work. People are struggling. People don't have money. People don't know if they're going to get sick. People don't know if their family's going to get sick. You just want to go to the supermarket without a mask. You know, you don't want to be like, you know, my hands are shredded. I've been washing them so often every time if I have to go out. Okay. So again, just bring your awareness to your breath as you wake up in the morning. Don't let yourself follow the thoughts. You have all day for the thoughts. And what you can do, schedule time to worry. I'm serious. Schedule time to worry. Okay. I learned this in a management, managing people course, like when I was in my 20s. Schedule time to worry. Worry ruminates and creates a trench in your mind, unhealthy trench in the mind. So you say, okay, I'm noticing I'm really freaked out right now. I'm waking up. Okay, now actually my time to worry, and I'm not being glib, is 4:30 to 5 p.m. today. That's my schedule. That's my worry time, 4:30 to 5. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those thoughts because that's my time to deal with them. Not right now. I've got other things I'm going to do. Okay. And then you get up and do your day and then come back 4:30. You might even have it on your calendar, 4:30 worry. And at 4:30, you're not particularly worried about anything. Isn't that interesting? But if you can't deal with it in the morning and you notice those thoughts are coming in, then try just focusing on the breath, relaxing, visualize yourself in a space that makes you very happy, that uplifts the mind, or analyze what you're fearful about. If you want to say more, Fran, about what you're fearful about, we might be able to analyze. Because if you start to analyze again, Master Shantideva said, what is it? Analyze what you can do about something and take action. And I would add with a compassionate, wise motivation. And then you're going to analyze. And sometimes there's nothing you can do. Let it go. I don't need to spend time worrying because I've already analyzed. There's nothing I can do about this. I'm not going to spend any more time letting my mind build a trench of those thoughts. Let me go to Jen. Physical stillness and meditation allows the thoughts to also become, more still. And then as they slow, yes, as your mind starts to slow down, Jen, as you're doing meditation, which is why meditation is helpful, you begin to see the true nature of it appear, which is spacious luminosity.
Thank you.
Things. Yep. So Fran, you've been using Chopra 21-day meditation. Well, if that's helpful for you, that's great. Okay. What is the site Lama? I don't understand that, Donna, if you want to elaborate on that.
Lama Zopa Rinpoche's site.
Oh, Lama Zopa Rinpoche's site. Here we go.
Yeah, was that tasty?
fpmt.org. You can click there, and just beautiful. And I love that they have the transcription because I know it's hard. Rinpoche's got, he's beautiful Kopan. They're making these very professional videos. They're lovely. And he's surrounded by all these stuffed animals. So it's just so inviting. And Rinpoche's so cute at times, laughing and sometimes very serious. But if you want to have that dose of a highly realized being, and it's just beautiful. I've just been really enjoying that. Once in a while through the day, I put on a bit, and you can be, it's nice to sit down and focus on it. But if you can't, and you're getting dressed or you can put it on and listen like that. It's wonderful. Let's see. The next thing is about, and Alex is a healthcare worker. Really shout out to all these healthcare workers. You guys are saving us. Okay. I hope you know that. And I hope you're being good to yourself. I rejoice so much at your lives for helping us to stay at home. You're risking yourself. So thank you, thank you, thank you. To all the first responders, all the sanitation workers, all the mail carriers, all the people that are stocking the shelves at the supermarkets, all the people delivering our packages. There's no way. The thing is, they're always essential. Now they call them essential workers. Before they called them service workers. They're always essential. We can't do it without them. There's no way our world goes around. We need these people. They're wonderful. Be kind to them. Please be kind to them. When I do go to the store once in a while, I thank all the employees I run into. I thank them all. I'm like, thank you for being here. Thank you for putting the stuff on the shelves for us. Thank you for risking your life for us. It's amazing. So let's talk about dealing with attachment versus gratitude. Attachment is not, for me, at all closely related to gratitude. Attachment in Tibetan Buddhism is one of the three poisons. So I'm not sure if you can, Marjan, go a little bit more about what you mean by attachment. And we're running out of time, and I do have a training at noon, but I do want to finish this. Let me see, any tips for implementing Dzogchen and other advanced Vajrayana practices busy Westerners? That's a longer question, Daniel, I can't get into right now, but you could explore those teachings online. And for me personally, I have a busy life. You do need to get proper initiation into higher level practices like Tantra and Dzogchen. You need proper initiation. I wouldn't practice it without the proper initiation from a qualified teacher. That is, and you have to check the teacher out. You're going to be having a guru-disciple relationship with them. So do be clear about that, but you can absolutely practice. I practice at my limited level every day, having these initiations. It will come sometimes with daily commitments as well, but you can absolutely do it based on the skills and the time that you want to make for your spiritual practice. So let me see yes, so if you take an oral transmission from Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he's giving what's called lungs. Lung is an oral transmission, and it means he'll recite something, and then if you listen intently, you get that kind of seed planted in your mind, and it makes it more powerful for you when you recite the mantra or recite the prayer. So if you take that, listen to that with that intention, then he becomes a teacher for you, and you can consider him your teacher or your guru. Yes. Okay. Reflective time tells me the changes I should make coming out of this moving forward. Yeah, so Fran, you will get some positive changes from doing this work will open up for you like that. So Marjan, I'm sorry, dealing with attachment versus gratitude. Attachment usually in Tibetan Buddhism is circling around what I want and what I need. It's not love. Love is wanting the other person to be happy. And I would ask you, all of us, to really connect more and more with that true, pure, unconditional love in your heart. We are all made up of that. If any of you have had a near-death experience, so this is a bit reminding me of the book I mentioned, In Love with the World. I even love the title, In Love with the World, because we can all end up in that space. And you can move more into that space now if you'd like, which is only going to make you happier and also more able to help others. So some people get there through a near-death experience. I had one some years ago, and I have to say that from that experience, I've had a couple in my life, but from that experience, the rest of my entire day and the next week and things were transported into a very unique kind of view for me. I felt completely interconnected to everyone, and I just loved everyone. All I saw was all of their good qualities. So even when we talked about political leaders, and there's always some aspect of them, there's some positive attribute you can find. Believe it or not, I know that's hard with some leaders, but there is something positive. Better to focus on that and feel that and learn of that interconnected reality we have with all beings, like that. So she's saying, okay, that gratitude morphs into attachment. That's interesting. I don't have that experience. I feel like, okay, so you're feeling gratitude, and let's say you have a nice house and you have a nice family and your health is okay and you have enough money and you're in a nice neighborhood and things are working like that. So there could be a level, but understand the fleeting nature of everything. That makes me more grateful. The fleeting nature is, houses are matter, they can disappear really quickly. People lose their money overnight. Health is going to change. you know. So rather than grasping on more, just stay with appreciating and living in the moment, in that present moment with the gratitude, which keeps us, I think when we're more present, it keeps us away from attachment as much of grasping onto it and trying to hold it like that. So I need to close, I'm afraid. I'd like to dedicate, though, in closing, I want to thank all of you so much for staying here with us, for joining today. It's been wonderful to be with all of you. We've had like 50, 60 people. And do check up if there's some other things on my website. A lot of the things for April are right on the home page. And I want to dedicate, so we're going to invest all the wonderful, wonderful experiences, any merit we've created today from spending this time together. Can we invest it in our being able to fold it into a consistent meditation practice that will only benefit our hearts, keeping our minds open, spacious, calm, so that we can reach a place one day of being fully awake, and then we can really unlimitedly benefit all living beings. So I'd like to dedicate in that way, and also for the long lives of our precious teachers, especially His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, Losang Rinpoche, and for the great flourishing of your center. So again, please do consider supporting Chenrezig Tibetan Buddhist Center. And I wish you all the best. Please stay in touch. You can reach me also through my website. And please choose love. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you so much. And I speak on behalf of the whole Sangha and the participants, how much we love your teachings, the practical aspects, the deep understanding that you share so clearly. I also do want to mention to everybody that you are co-author of Buddhism in a Nutshell, which is both a book and a program, which is, if they go to your website, they can find more information about it. Also another wonderful resource for us. So thank you for coming. We look
Thank you. And let me know if you need any help again. And I am going to sign off. However, a lot of groups have stayed open a little bit. You could stop the recording if you want.